of St. George's Church. Thank you very much for your presence and your participation in this St. George's Enterprise Ministry Pitch Night. This is actually the 6th St. George's Enterprise Ministry Pitch Night. We call it SGEM. And I think you will find this extremely informative and encouraging if this is your first time to be exposed to our ministry. SGEM began as a seed planted following the great flood here in 2010, when parish leadership made the conscious decision to tithe 10% of our capital campaign funds for the restoration of our facility to some philanthropic initiative for the benefit of our brothers and sisters in Nashville. And a Blue Panel Commission came up with the vision to set aside these funds annually to support social entrepreneurs who are about the business of finding innovative ways to create opportunity and to empower city who are perhaps underserved. In just a few moments, you're going to be introduced to 3 fantastic new organizations. It's an honor for us to be in conversation about what a partnership with them might look like. Again, I think you will find the work that they're doing very, very encouraging. And in a few moments, you'll hear just a bit more about the background from Calvin Lewis, who is the chairman of our SGEM committee. But again, I just wanted to say how grateful I am for your presence in joining us tonight. I feel like if there's one regret that I have about the SGEM ministry, it has been that I could be doing even more to highlight the impact of this ministry to our parish community. So if you have any questions at all about the St. George's Enterprise Ministry, please feel free to contact us. Again, thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm Ashley.
Us to be in conversation about what a partnership with them might look like.
Thank you, Lee, and good evening. I'm Calvin Lewis. I'm the chair of St. George's Enterprise Ministries, or SGM. And on behalf of St. George's Episcopal Church and the SGM committee that's here, I'd like to welcome you to our 6th annual pitch night. And it's the first pitch night that we've had online. But first off, I'd like to describe social enterprises. They're organizations that apply commercial strategies to maximize improvement in human well-being. And as we embarked on our 1.5-year research project to determine what we would do, we learned 2 things. Number 1, social enterprises can provide sustainable ways to train, employ, empower, and engage some of the most marginalized people in our community of Nashville. And number 2, we were advised by our friend Bob Lupton, who's the author of Toxic Charity, that identifying energetic visionaries that are compassionate and have passion is as important, if not more important, than actually identifying the business that would serve people. So with that being said, you're in for a real treat tonight in that we have 3 energetic visionaries that will be presenting with Crossroads Campus, with Humphreys Street Coffee Shop, and with Project Return. And now I'd like to turn it over to Amy Norton, who will talk about our question and answer process. Thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
was scary. Welcome, we're glad you're here. Jeff Beamer and I are going to moderate the question and answer portion after each presentation, and we'll have a brief time to ask questions from the audience. For our Zoom viewers, you've got the chat window open, and we encourage you to drop your questions in, and we'll make sure those are asked. And without further ado, let's dive right in. I'd like to welcome Brad to the stage to introduce our first presenter. Thanks, Brad Thompson.
Good evening. Certainly want to thank Calvin and Martha, Amy and Jeff for organizing this evening. They put in a lot of very hard work, and we're very grateful that we're able to get together tonight. I'm very honored, first of all, to get to know Crossroads Campus. It's an amazing social enterprise, and the opportunity to present them to St. George's SGEM community is a terrific honor, because they really model all the attributes for a social enterprise. But I want to start off with a couple of stark facts. One, over 6.5 million animals will seek shelter in the United States this year, and approximately 20% of them will be euthanized. Over 18,000 youth at this moment are looking for shelter in our country, someplace to lay their head tonight. Tonight you're going to learn that Crossroads Campus is about the business of animals, in the caring for those who need shelter and adoption services. They're in the business of manufacturing animal treats and animal foods, and the sale of those treats and foods, and also in providing grooming services. Crossroads Campus is also in the business of caring for the youth of Nashville who need a home, providing them with job training, counseling, and the love they need so that they possibly can have a dream of their own. And to date, this has been accomplished by Lisa Stetter, who's the executive director, and a very sparse staff. A partnership with our talented church will enable Lisa to be able to hire a director of operations to better manage and assist in the growth of this enterprise, so that she, with her amazing vision, can better serve more animals and youth in need. So I present to you Crossroads Campus.
I'm Ashley, and I'm from Nashville, born and raised. I've been working at Crossroads a year and a half. My job title is an intern, so that means I help take care of the animals, the cats and the dogs. I help in retail, answering the phones.
My name is Melanie Rodriguez, and this is Petey.
My name is Cortez Rice. I work with dogs mostly. Sometimes I might go to cats, but mostly you might catch me back here with the dogs.
So most people know us through our Crossroads Pets Shop and Adopt store. Crossroads Pets is a social enterprise. We sell great pet products, pet foods, pet supplies. We also have grooming services and dog self-wash. But the store is really home to a paid job training program for the young adults that we serve. And it's also home to our adoptable pets that come from our city shelter. We really like to look for those dogs and cats that, for whatever reason, don't show well in the big shelter and can benefit from being in a smaller, more nurturing environment.
Many of these kids come to us with some pretty significant trauma in their life, and we recognize that. We provide a compassionate, safe environment to learn these job training skills.
Before Crossroads, I've been homeless a few months. I lived with my mom, and everything was fairly normal. And then she got really sick, and we didn't know she was sick. And during that time, we lost our apartment. So I had to just pick what little I could take with me and pack up and just take the bus and go to the mission. I moved in here March 6th of this year.
So we have a pilot affordable housing unit that is located above the store. There are 4 rooms, 4 young people live there. We're not only looking at finding them a safe place to live, but also teaching them about community, about how to live together as a family, and then how to involve themselves in the bigger community of Germantown.
So the apartment is right above the store. We walk down approximately 20 steps and then we're at the store. So we have a really long commute to work.
I didn't really have too much, so I kind of wanted everything fast. So I actually got in trouble, some trouble with drug dealing and things like that. I went away and did some time in a little group home, but this time I was more serious. So when I got out of that group home, I started working like within like 4 days to a week.
I tried, putting in applications everywhere and no one gave me a chance because I had no experience. And Barb, she actually, gave me a chance. She even also pulled me aside and was like, I can help you, enroll into college. I feel like she's impacted me a lot, and this program has impacted me a lot.
I was able to get back in school, and now I'm in college and I'm studying English, and I want to tutor children that have really bad reading scores.
It kind of gave me confidence. It gave me patience too. Like I told you, I was used to everything just fast. So it gave me time to wait for things, This was my first job.
My favorite part of working at Crossroads is the animals, especially when you get to see their personalities change, like with Autumn, who is our foster cat up here.
The young people are getting incredible job skills, and working with animals is so healing because they can see the impact almost immediately that they're having on the lives of these animals.
In the future, Crossroads is planning to build more affordable housing like these and a bigger building eventually so we can hold more animals.
I really encourage people in Nashville to support Crossroads. Crossroads is more than just a pet store. We're hoping to grow to provide more services, and we're just hoping to increase the numbers of young people that we can provide them with life skills. They can see how their lives are transforming, how they're learning those skills, how they're working with the animals. It's small, locally owned. You just walk into that store and you can feel it. You just feel there's something really positive happening.
Mask off, glasses on. I can see what button I'm pushing. I'm hoping you'll be able to hear me okay. Good evening. I really appreciate this opportunity to be here with you tonight to share my passion for working with young people, for helping homeless animals, and for putting social enterprise to work to help young people build a path out of poverty so they can build sustainable futures. The need for the services we provide is great, especially when you consider that even before the tornado and before COVID, there were more than 9,000 young adults in Nashville between the ages of 16 and 24 who were neither working nor in school. Also, about 8,000 homeless dogs and cats enter our city shelter every year. Oops, that went way further. There we go. Before I go on, I would like to acknowledge Project Return and Harvest Hands who are here this evening. I have great respect and admiration for the amazing work they do in the community. I'm honored to be here with them tonight. So Crossroads set out to build a unique and innovative model for serving, for helping homeless animals and working with young people. It's a model that's centered on a profound belief in the healing power of human-animal connections. We put those connections to work to transform lives, and those connections help us enhance resilience, change behavior, and teach skills. We've successfully demonstrated that our model provides an effective and sustainable approach for helping young people and animals improve their lives. So we're ready to grow. And over the coming year, we're getting ready to scale our model significantly. And that's why I'm here tonight asking for your help. We foster those healing human-animal connections through our Caring Connections Humane Education Program. Young people who participate in our employment and housing program experience those humane education classes. We also use Caring Connections as an outreach program to work with youth in custody and other vulnerable young people in the community. But we also foster those human-animal connections through our social enterprise businesses. And social enterprise is really the linchpin of the Crossroads model. It allows us to provide employment for our young people, but it also allows us to provide care and adoptions for homeless animals, and it plays a really important role in our ability to house individuals who are experiencing homelessness. The employment we provide allows our young adults to pay rent. That teaches them independent living skills. It also makes it possible for us to house young people who are not eligible for housing benefits, and then the rent that they pay helps sustain our housing program. The revenues that we generate through our social enterprise businesses cover more than 30% of our operating costs for the entire agency, and 20% of Crossroads staffing costs are the wages that go directly to the young people that we employ through our social enterprise businesses. Our current social enterprises are a pet retail store. You saw that in the video. Our young people learn great customer service skills, and they also help us with all the day-to-day operations of the store. We also provide pet adoptions, and I call the adoptions piece our secret sauce. Our young people provide hands-on care, and they work with the dogs and cats we bring out of the shelter to help build trust and confidence. A lot of the animals we pull are very shy and fearful. They've been traumatized. And the loving care that our young people provide make these animals available for adoption. It helps them successfully transition from the shelter environment to a forever home. In turn, those mutually nurturing relationships help our young people heal from trauma, build confidence, and learn to trust themselves and ultimately to trust us. We also operate a pet grooming salon where our young people work side by side with professional groomers, learning to be grooming assistants. They help bathe dogs, do nails, and provide care for the animals throughout their time in the salon. We've also been piloting a dog treat bakery. The bakery is a great fit for young people who enjoy being in the kitchen, and for those individuals who need more predictable and repetitive tasks than we can provide in our sometimes chaotic environment in the Crossroads Pets store. Our dog treats are guitar-shaped in honor of our Music City roots, and our adoptable dogs and our customers really love them. And I even heard some testimonials from some of you tonight. I guess they were from your dogs. But. Social enterprise provides a platform for us to do a lot more than just provide employment. Our model also provides affordable housing, intensive case management, career and education coaching, and we also teach life skills, including financial literacy. So we set out to build a model that would really celebrate and enhance the resilience of young people and animals, but this year we ended up having our own resilience put to the test. In March, we had an unexpected visitor. I don't know if you can see that, but that is the Nashville tornado bearing down on us. We did sustain significant damage. Luckily, our old building stood her ground very well, and more importantly, none of our residents or our adoptable animals were in the building that night were injured. But the damage did impact our store. It impacted our residential program. That is a hole in the wall right next to the bed of one of our residents. And that young man was in that room playing a video game when his fellow resident said, "Get out in the hallway." And a very large rock came through. So we were very fortunate. It also impacted our adoptions program. That's our dog kennel room. And we even temporarily lost one of the dogs who, in the panic in the aftermath of the storm, jumped out of one of the broken windows. But thanks to the power of social enterprise, she was back with us by the next morning. All in all, we fared better than most of our close neighbors, some of whom had their buildings completely destroyed.
We also worked really hard to get back on our feet. This is us back open for business 4 days after the storm. We had no power, no heat, and no internet. Unfortunately, by the time our power was restored and we had the grooming salon and the pet store back in full swing, COVID hit. So then we had to close our doors again and really learn new ways to work with our customers and our young people. But the good news is our repairs are now complete and our store and grooming sales are back to normal levels, back to pre-tornado, pre-COVID levels, and we are ready to grow. In just a few months, we're going to break ground on a new site that will allow us to significantly scale our affordable housing program. We're going to go from housing 4 individuals to being able to house 26. We're also going to be able to launch a number of new social enterprises on this site. Some of the ideas we're kicking around are a coffee shop and cat cafe, a pet grooming school, a full-scale bakery, so we'd move from the pilot-scale bakery we're doing now to a full bakery operations, and eventually a dog training and humane education center. We're especially excited about a pet grooming school. Groomers are in very high demand. Grooming is a low-barrier career path that offers sustainable wages and opportunities for career growth. So it's a really good fit for our young people. There's no grooming school in Nashville. The closest viable option is Lexington, Kentucky, which is not a good fit for the young people who don't have resources or supports. So we're super excited about the future of Crossroads, but we can't successfully scale without your investment. And obviously, we're here tonight to talk about a financial investment, but we would also welcome the investment of the time and talents of this congregation. Members could help us scale by mentoring our young people, fostering our adoptable pets, mentoring me by providing consulting and marketing, HR, PR, legal, financial, you name it. The financial investment we're seeking will also play a really pivotal role in our ability to scale. It's going to make it possible for us to hire a director to lead our social enterprises. That will let us grow our current enterprises, and it will also let us further explore the business lines we're looking at for the new site. Your financial investment and the investment of your time and talents will help more young people build a path out of poverty and build sustainable futures. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you tonight and would welcome any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. We do have a question from one of our Zoom viewers, Caroline. And audience, if you'll get your questions ready, Jeff's going to rove around and come to you with the microphone. So if you have one from the audience, just raise your hand. Caroline asks, how many on any given day or at any given point, how many young people are employed by Crossroads?
In our current facility, we can house about 10 young people at a time, and we can house 4.
And then another question from a Zoom viewer, is the financial investment for operating expenses or capital improvements?
We're asking for the financial investment to help us grow our organizational capacity. So it's not for the bricks and mortar of our growth, but rather creating the organizational capacity to really further our social enterprise mission. I've been the person putting together the business plans and rolling out the businesses so far. And as we grow, we really need somebody on board whose primary focus is making our social enterprise endeavors successful and growing.
Awesome. Rebecca wants to know how you select your young people for the program.
Sometimes young people self-refer to us. Most often they come to us through our community partners. We work with Monroe Harding, Youth Can, Martha O'Brien, a number of other nonprofits in the community that work with young adults. And when they see someone who's a good fit for us, they send them our way.
That's awesome. Let's see if our audience has some questions.
Hi, I have a rescue dog, so I commend you for the work you're doing to help the animals. So how exactly do you find these animals that come to you? Are they from other shelters, or how does that work?
Our model has been to partner primarily with Metro Animal Care and Control. We really set out to be a partner to them. When we opened our doors in 2013, 80% of the animals that entered our city shelter here in Nashville were euthanized. So at that point, we were going into the facility and we were small. It was myself and my adoptions manager. And we would just pull anything that we could get out the door because every body out the door was a life saved. Our city's done a really phenomenal job of turning those statistics around, and now we're down to less than 10% of the animals that enter the shelter being euthanized. And so we are spreading out and starting to work with some of the surrounding counties where those statistics aren't quite so good. And we do sometimes get animals directly from the public. We don't advertise that, but they find us, and often we run into people who are getting ready to lose their housing or have some sort of life change that is making it impossible for them to keep the pet. So we'll take them home with us.
Yes, I was really impressed. It's important, I know, for this ministry to invest in organizations that have good potential to be sustainable. And the fact that Lisa, I know, has had a great relationship with Forest Trouble for a number of years, actually a neighbor. And we all appreciate what Forest Trouble has been able to do with Room at the Inn, with the growth of Room at the Inn for the last 10 years, with the building facilities that they've gotten down off of 8th Avenue, and they've got some more plans, I hear, as well. And so I know that was of great motivation to you and counsel to you in thinking about the future. So tell them a little bit more about the construction, where you are with that, with your building. It's just not a pipe dream, that beautiful building you just showed.
Well, and I was actually the project manager. I called myself the accidental project manager for Charlie Strobel $13 million building project. That really was my segue into the nonprofit world from a career of scientific consulting for a long time. I won't say how long, but our new project, we own the property. Well, we own it with the bank, and we have hired our construction manager. We will be submitting our construction drawings to the city for permit approval by mid-November, and we expect to actually be building our building no later than mid-February. It's likely that we'll go ahead and break ground and do site work before then, but we are right on the cusp of turning that corner. And then the construction of the new building, the 3-story that has the residential units, is anticipated to take no more than 12 months. One of the construction manager teams we were interviewing said they could do it in 9 months. And I was like, no, that's a little too fast. Give me more time. But I think we will be housing young people in that building by the end of next year or the very, very beginning of 2022. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's another exciting thing for me about this project. We're staying in our North Nashville community, and we are moving onto Buchanan Street. And we're moving into a neighborhood where a huge percentage of young people in the community are not working or in school. And unfortunately, an area that, it's a zip code that has the highest rate of incarceration in the country. It's not one of the things that Nashville should be proud of, obviously, but it is a community that is getting a lot of focus right now, and there's a lot of interest from the developers, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on that community. And I'm super excited that we're going to grab a piece of that community and put it to use for the community for the next at least 30 years.
What is the age range of the young adults who work for you, and what kind of high school graduation rate do you achieve with these kids?
So we're predominantly working with 17 to early 20s. We do engage some 16-year-olds through the city's Opportunity Now program. Young people who come to us who have not graduated from high school end up getting a HiSET or a GED before they leave us. We are not the ones providing that. We are partnered with other agencies that provide that. We also have a number of young people who have successfully transitioned into college. Ashley, who was on the video, went to community college and finished her 2-year degree and is now at TSU working to finish her 4-year. One of the young men who actually was going to come with me tonight is at Vanderbilt. We have a young woman who is at ETSU doing pre-vet and going to become a veterinarian. But we also want to recognize that that's not the path for all of our young people, and make sure that we recognize and honor other paths to sustainable living. So that's why the pet grooming school is so exciting to me, because that's a living that if you like working with animals, you can make a very good wage. You work really hard, but it's not something that you need a college degree to do. So.
Lisa, we've got one more question from our Zoom viewers, and it connects with the partner agency idea you were just talking about. Do you do any communication or work with the Oasis Center?
Yes, I should have mentioned them as one of our partners. Absolutely. We work very closely with them.
That's great. Any last quick questions? We are ready to move on to our next presenter unless there's anything major. Good. All right. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. You're definitely impacting a lot of lives of young adults in the North Nashville area. And you've also made my dog and many other dogs happy with those guitar-shaped cookies. So keep up the good work. Now I'd like to ask our next SGM sponsor, Drew Anderson, to come up to introduce Humphreys Street Coffee Shop. Drew.
Thank you, Calvin. Good evening, everybody. I'm really honored to welcome back to St. George's our friends at Humphreys Street. They have actually been an SGEM partner since 2017. So tonight we have the Reverend Brian Hicks, who is the co-founder and the executive director of Harvest Hands. And Brian and his wife, Courtney, started Humphreys Street in 2008 by roasting coffee and making homemade soap with a handful of students in the basement of a former church. Now that church building is home to Humphreys Street Coffee, and this small business has grown to annually employ more than 20 students and young adults, most of whom live in the Napier-Sudicum homes, which is close to the shop. Joining Brian tonight, we have Parker Milliken, who is the manager of Humphreys Street Coffee. He has been working in coffee since 2015, and he has been working at Humphreys Street since 2018 and has been the manager for about a year and a half. So we're really pleased to have both of them with us, and come on up.
Hey, good evening. I made a promise to my wife and my daughter I'd keep my mask on. And I think that it's mainly not to be safe, but because I have a really bad COVID mustache. Right? And also to my neighborhood. So I want to get going. In 2008, we started a little social enterprise, kind of before social enterprise was a thing. And I took a kid across the country to Idaho, Sandpoint, Idaho. His name's Ruben. He was 13 years old. I couldn't believe his mom let him fly to Idaho with me. And we learned to roast coffee from a guy named Stephen Diedrich, who invented the coffee roasters, like learning to drive from Henry Ford. We came back and started a nonprofit social enterprise. And now Ruben runs the entire operation at 24 years old. He's the head of the entire deal. In 2017, we came to you all and said, we want to do something even crazier. We want to open a coffee shop. Now, most of you all know that coffee shop businesses often fail. Specifically, businesses, with good plans, and then you add a mission onto it, and you got 2 strikes against you. But we were able to start something, and we asked for y'all's investment, and y'all took a major risk and supported what we did. And not only did we succeed in the last couple of years, but we far exceeded our expectations and our projections. It took us a year to be where we thought we'd be in 2 years. And because of that, the most important thing we always say is not the money we've made, but the opportunities and the jobs we've created. We don't make coffee and soap. We don't hire students to make coffee and soap. We make coffee and soap to hire students, right? It's all about the mission. So because we've been able to do that, and we believe in the students, there's a great quote from Ella Baker says, give people light and they will find the way. We've been in the business of giving light to students and believing in their capacity and potential, that we've not only seen them work hard, but they've developed into leaders to shift leads, and soon one will be a manager. And so really stepped up and become students who've been really well mentored and brought into leadership. And so we're excited to share with you all a new opportunity tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to show you a video of Humphrey Street that I'd like to share with you to get going here.
We want to create opportunities for students to have job skills and to learn how to develop as leaders and create the pathways out of poverty. Our work doesn't exist to continue a cycle. It exists to raise up leaders. So we created Humphreys Street Coffee and Soap. We make handmade soap and body products, and then we also roast coffee.
It's really shown me how to start my own business, because it helped me start my own business with my mom. And so without this, I wouldn't be able to know all these business skills and strategies.
Well, my name is Ricardo Mendez. You wouldn't really think that coffee roasting is as detailed as it is. It's definitely helped me learn all about what a business is, what it takes to run it.
There has to be access to resources and access to opportunities for students to grow. Maybe kids get in trouble after school, not because they're bad kids, but because they don't have opportunity to work or have an opportunity to do something productive. We always say that we're on a journey together for wholeness in South Nashville. And that's what we're trying to do here.
And so this success of the shop, and Parker's going to talk a little bit about the shop to share not only the story of the success, but a little bit of what has happened to demonstrate the success.
Yeah, so just to talk about the success of the last 2 years, we've actually seen a lot of growth. Like Brian was saying, what we wanted to achieve in 2 years, we actually saw in 1 year. We started out with just above 15 students, around 16 or 17 students at both the coffee shop and the roastery, actually making the coffee that we sell in the shop. And we've grown actually to over 25 students in both of those locations. And we've seen a lot of success from that. We get about 85 student hours per week, and that grows and kind of changes with the seasons. And during the summers, we actually see way more than 85 hours a week from all of our students combined. And there's been a lot of leadership opportunities for them there. I get to work with the students at the coffee shop and actually help develop them into shift leads so that they're teaching the new employees that we bring on, even the employees that are adults. We have those students training those adults to how to make coffee and how to serve customers because they know how to do it. And they've been really, really great baristas. We just added 5 new positions for our students who have graduated from high school and became college students. And they actually now work outside of that 85 hours. They're working about 30 hours a week at the shop, a regular part-time position as they're going to school.
And so with the success of the shop, one of the things that sometimes happens is that people recognize when things are going well. And your all's investment in our work has paid off. A couple of things I'd like to share with you to celebrate with you because you've been part of the deal with us is one, you can see on the left, that's actually Hayel. She runs the entire soap production. That's Ruben's mother. We won an award from the Center for Nonprofit Management. There's an annual celebration. We won the top award as a nonprofit for revenue development because of our work at Humphrey Street. So thank you all for investing in that. The other thing is there was a donor who came to me and said, I really believe in what you're doing. I hear you have an opportunity to open a second shop on Broadway, and I will match whatever money you raise before you open that. And so this is an opportunity to share with you all a chance to not only give, but to have your money matched. And so one of the things that donor did was buy our second roaster, because what's going to happen, and it's already beginning to happen, is our need to create more product is growing. And so that's the second roaster that we bought. And so that's going to go to put our new coffee shop to work. Now, the opportunity that is ahead is And let me just show a couple shots here. This is some of y'all who've been around with us. This is featured in the y'all's magazine here, and that's a picture of Calvin at the shop with a tree that we remember robbed by. We keep his family in our prayer. And we've been given an opportunity because of the growth of the shop to open a second location. Some of you all know Nashville First Baptist Church, located really contiguous to where the Predators play, to Bridgestone. And they came to us and they said, we see what you guys are doing. We believe in your mission of developing leaders and creating pathways out of poverty. We'd love to offer you the opportunity in our new facility on Broadway to open a second shop. Now, I kind of laughed. I'm an ordained Methodist pastor. So when the Baptist church came to me, I kind of laughed a little bit. And I said to him, I said, that's a great opportunity. There's two things I have to do, though. One, I got to tell you, we don't want to run a church coffee shop. We're a coffee shop that tries to do excellent product. And because of a good market and doing good product, we actually generate good revenue. And that creates opportunity for us to sell coffee and to create jobs. It has to be, and I said, most church coffee shops, they just don't work too well. They said, that's fine. We believe in what you're doing. Just take it and bring it here. So I was like, all right, it's impressive, that they were willing to hear that. I said, no, we're not going to play Christian music all the time, are we? And so the other thing I said was this. I asked him, I said, we need to look on Google here because our mission is very focused on South Nashville for the students who live in the government housing. The largest block of barrack-style government housing that exists in the United States is in Pursuit. The rest of it, most of it's been torn down. So you got a concentrated area of poverty that we serve, and it has to be close enough for the students to engage it. So I looked in there, and it was 1.2 miles from our community center, and the other coffee shop is 1.1 miles. And so I said, I'm interested if we can raise the money to do this deal. And to raise the money was about $400,000 to $500,000 that we would have to put in to open a second shop. But I said, if we can make that happen, we're interested in the deal. Here's a picture of the location of where the second shop will be on Broad and 6 there. The interior shot. And Parker's going to talk a little bit about the marketplace that's available to us in downtown.
Yeah, so not only do we see this as like an opportunity to engage with more students and hire more students, that is the primary goal. But second to that, we see it as an opportunity for business growth. So downtown Broadway, obviously there are a ton of people that are coming in. There are a lot of new businesses that are being set up. That's the reason why all the cranes are on our skyline, all 800 of them. And all of those people that are working downtown are going to be very close proximity to our coffee shop. And residentially, you can see right here that just within a 12-minute walk of our coffee shop, there are going to be 9,000 people living right there. That's a very easy, tappable market for us. And even when we were working in the Wedgwood, Houston area, 25% of our customers that come in are from out of town. I'm able to track that data. So we are used to trying to engage with the tourism industry and create sustainable customers out of people who are from out of town with our coffee subscriptions and creating long-term customers out of long-distance relationships. And so we see this as like a very easy next step for us and as a much bigger audience than even the Wedgwood, Houston area has. We got all this kind of demographic information from a Vanderbilt business consulting group, and we were very privileged to be able to work with them. And not only does downtown have a lot of businesses and residential, but a lot of event spaces as well. So the National Museum of African American Music is going to be down there, as well as the giant conference center that we are all familiar with. They're going to be just within walking distance of us. And so we see a lot of business growth opportunity in that area.
So, I'm a preacher, and so stories matter to me. One of the things that's really struck me is to watch some of the students who have engaged in our work and how it's impacted their life. This is a story of Curtis, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him. But I want you to watch a
My
video.
name is Curtis, and I'm a barista at Humphreys Street Coffee Shop.
What I like about working here is everyone seems like a friend. I feel welcomed here, and it's a really nice feeling. I guess kind of getting out of my shell, being around friends all the time, meeting new people and becoming friends with them. Like, I feel like I've gotten more mature from it and talking to people more. And I've taught Brian how to make drinks and how to steam milk and do latte art. I've taught other employees that are older than me, and just learning and just getting into coffee. Some of my goals here at Humphreys Street are to eventually become a shift lead and go on later into a manager role, hopefully. After college, I want to hopefully still work here and by that time be a manager, and kind of also leaning towards to being a firefighter or EMT, because I just kind of like, I guess, have a heart for helping people and being there.
I pick it up from the video is he's pretty soft-spoken. And so when he came to us, we challenged him to step up and be a leader. And I think our belief in him and his willingness to step up really has made an impact. You can see in those videos, you got to understand, he said he was teaching me to make drinks, and he's the one training the other girl. I hope you understand that in our work, it's about empowerment, developing leaders who lead others. And so Curtis is in the video doing that. And Curtis, just to give you a quick deal on Curtis, he was in a local latte art competition. These guys who are really good at making coffee, they can take the milk and make it look pretty. He makes swans and other shapes. Parker's good at this. I'm not. Now, Curtis was in a competition, and all these people from all these different coffee shops around the city of Nashville, he got second place. So he's really good at this work. And so we've tapped Curtis as we open the second shop. He's going to be the manager at Humphreys Street on the first shop. That's what you do, right? Leadership gets out of the way so that we can, 2 minutes? Okay. So we want to close simply by sharing a little bit more about the possibilities at the new shop.
Yeah, so like I said, the economic opportunity for us is really important, but primary is the opportunity we have to hire students. So right now, we are averaging just under 250 hours a month that we are working students, but we're going to grow that exponentially as we open Broadway. Between opening a new shop where we almost double the amount of students that work with a little bit of overlap between the two students going back and forth, we're also going to up our production 2.5 times, which just gives us more opportunity to hire more and more students. And so you're going to see that we are looking at going from just above 20 students to reaching at least 30 on the opening of our shop, with more and more room for growth as we continue to increase our production, increase our soap production as well.
So we've had to pivot with COVID, like all of us, and we've been able to maintain and continue to keep the shop going. Part of the deal has been, how do you adapt when things change on you? So we've made a to-go model for our shop. We've seen growth in our online sales, but our leadership has really done a great job of making it work. And as we look forward to the new year, we believe that the support we've had from organizations and churches like yours and other folks who believed in our mission enough to stick with us even when things seemed like it was time to throw on the towel. Unfortunately, a lot of organizations have had to do that this year. But as we've made it through, we believe that there's a sign of hope next year as we look to open another shop, and a sign that we can overcome this together. We think that what we do at Humphrey Street is worth investing in, specifically at this time in the history of our country where we need to represent what it looks like to empower and reconcile. We believe this is an opportunity for you all to continue to join with us in that work. So we thank you for your past support and your belief in us, and we look forward to continue to partner with you. Thanks.
Thank you, Parker. Thank you, Brian. Let's do a little Q&A for a few minutes, and Zoom attendees, drop your questions in the chat, and we'll start with the audience this time. Jeff, let's see if there's anybody with a question for Humphrey Street, for Brian and Parker.
Wholesale sell any of your coffee?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Do you have wholesale operations?
Oh, we do, yes. So we support a couple different local coffee shops, as well as businesses and some Airbnbs.
As in churches?
Yes, lots of churches actually.
I work downtown, and will you all have the capability of catering and taking your coffee to some of the downtown offices?
We actually already do. So we have a little espresso cart with just about full service on that cart with all the lattes and drip coffee and things like that. So even expanding that further is definitely on our radar.
How do you recruit and identify employees for the coffee shop?
Good question. And, so much, because we run a community development corporation in that neighborhood, essentially, Harvest Hands, the nonprofit that I started with my wife in 2007, focuses on healthy living, education, spiritual formation, and economic development. This is really the economic development wing of what we do. So we work with kids from like pre-K all the way through high school. So what our goal is to raise up leaders in a neighborhood who are already with us. So, because of the work we do in the heart of the community, most of the students have been with us. And then when they get to high school, they're like, I finally get to work for Humphrey Street. So they're part of, the growth and the long, we're in the long journey of leadership development. So they transition into that. And then when they're in college, we provide them a place to work where they're going to school so that they can actually afford it.
And also, this is kind of, the coffee shop's like the second phase of their employment. They start out with Ruben and Hyle in production, and then after they get recommended by Hyle and Ruben, they sit down with me and have an interview, and then I bring them on into the coffee shop.
We have a question from one of our Zoom viewers. Mary wants to know more about the hand soap and some of your other products. What can you tell us about that?
It's all natural. It's really excellent products. Hyle, who runs that, is from the neighborhood as well. Hyle is the one in the picture when we got the award for leadership. At the celebration of leadership that we did with. She's the one who accepted the award, and that's not an accident. She's run that organization since the outset. Her and my wife Courtney started that deal, and so it's the products are excellent, handmade, all natural products that we sell at our coffee shop. And that's the other opportunity with, having a place on Broadway. Not only will we have coffee drinks, but we'll have our products to sell there. But they're excellent. It's all we use at home. And a lot of folks would say that the same with that.
Great. Other products besides soap for sale there?
Yeah, soap. We have, surprisingly, coffee sugar scrub. We use our own coffee grounds in that. What's that? Laundry soap, hand soap, a pump, and then there we go.
Awesome. I have a question. If you imagine Humphrey Street impact in the community 5-10 years from now, what would you want to say has happened if you project out into the future? What would you want to see?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our mission is that we develop leaders and create pathways out of poverty. So there's a couple of things that strike me specifically. One, leaders and specifically community development work. My job, Parker's job, is to get out of the way. So I would love in 5 years for the folks who run every aspect that it would not be me next time here speaking to you. That it would be someone from the community raised there, that they would come here and speak, and you'll continue to support them. My job is to create a pathway. And so I want Curtis to run the deal and students to run the deal and us to have grown so much that we have so many jobs that students aren't getting in trouble after school because they actually have something to do. And so that's kind of my dream. At the end of the day, I also want those students to not just work for us. I want them to start their own thing because we believe in empowerment, So if they want to start a competitor coffee shop, go for it. You understand what I'm saying? We believe in the market because we think that students need the opportunity not just to work for us, but to be free to be able to create their own thing. And that's what we're in the business of, is creating entrepreneurs who then move out of poverty and give back to their own neighborhood. So they then come and lead up other leaders.
That's outstanding. Let's give Brian and Parker a hand and Humphreys Street Coffee. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian and Parker. Humphrey Street Coffee Shop is hands down my favorite coffee shop in town. I feel like I'm 30 years old again when I walk in that place. It's such a cool vibe. But they're impacting a lot of kids in this Napier-Sudicum area and just doing a wonderful job doing that. Now I'd like to turn the podium over to Jim Ezel, who will introduce Project Return.
Thank you, Calvin. I am delighted to introduce to you our next presenter, Betty Kirkland. Betty is the Executive Director of Project Return, which is a nonprofit organization that has been in operation in our community for over 41 years. The sole mission of Project Return from the beginning has been to provide successful new beginnings for people returning to our community after incarceration. What we will be considering today is a contribution to its newest employment creating social enterprise, PROPS, P-R-O-P-S. PROPS was launched in 2019 and is the third innovative social enterprise created within Project Return to fulfill its original mission. First, a little bio on Betty's past before she assumed the leadership position at Project Return. Betty started out by practicing business and environmental litigation in Kansas City, Missouri. She then became a Peace Corps volunteer serving on the island of Guadalcanal. And from there, she went on to work as a research associate at the Historic Race Relations Institute at Fisk University. Betty has been named a Woman of Influence by the Nashville Business Journal, and recently she completed her executive MBA at the Owen Graduate School of Management. Under Betty's leadership, Project Return has launched 3 social enterprises which create employment and affordable housing for those returning to our community from incarceration. These enterprises have won multiple awards, including the Regional Impact Award for Business Inclusion from the Nashville Chamber of Commerce, and they have also won 2 NEXT Awards, NEXT Awards from the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. Accompanying Betty here tonight is Larry Craig, who is the Program Services Director of Project Return. To those of us who went on the site visit to Project Return, we can attest to the enthusiasm Larry has for the enterprise and what a great ambassador he is. Betty, with that short introduction and in the interest of time, I'll turn this presentation over to you to tell us more about PROPS.
At Project Return, we use social enterprise to generate market-driven approaches to achieve our mission. People who've been to prison are routinely excluded from jobs and housing, and we are effectively standing up businesses in that gap, replicating the private market, but innovating to create those opportunities for our people. PROPS is our newest, youngest social enterprise. PROPS offers skills-building jobs to the people we serve and provides property solution services to corporate and nonprofit clients across Nashville. We were founded more than 40 years ago by Reverend Bill Barnes and Reverend Don Beiswinger. Many of you may know those visionary Nashvillians. We are completely dedicated to the successful new beginnings of people who are returning to our community after incarceration. As you're probably aware, mass incarceration is one of the defining dilemmas of our day. It is so much the source of inequality across our community, and it is a foundational pillar for structural racism in American society. Here in Tennessee, our rate of incarceration has increased by nearly 70% over the last 3 decades. We've just had 2 consecutive years of our highest prison numbers ever. And as Lisa mentioned, here in Nashville, we are home to the #1 zip code in the nation for rate of incarceration. At Project Return, our whole solution, our entire approach is centered on employment plus wraparound support. We build authentic relationships with the people we serve. We invest ourselves and our resources in them, and we believe in them. We have 2 main metrics at Project Return: high employment and low recidivism. This is a unifying value across the organization, no matter what we're engaged in. We strive for a job acquisition rate that exceeds 75% and a recidivism rate that comes in under 20%. And this pretty much flips the reality that would otherwise be. We do that in large part through social enterprise. So we launched our first one in 2013. Pro-E is a mission-driven, high-quality staffing company in which we hire our people ourselves immediately after incarceration, and we staff the work sites of Tennessee employers who need workforce but aren't themselves willing to hire people who just got out of prison. In 2017, we launched our second social enterprise, which is Pro Housing. With Pro Housing, we acquire and rehab modest scattered site housing across Nashville, typically duplexes, and we rent them at below market rents to the people who've come through Project Return and are living successfully in our community. In 2019, we launched Props. Props came into existence organically, which was fun and fascinating for us. We had started acquiring our affordable housing properties through our housing model. And part of that model was work experience for the people that we serve. So we were mustering small crews of participants, and they were earning and learning on the job, and they also liked it. We began to see almost immediately that there was room for this to grow beyond just the properties that we owned, and really that it had, great potential. So that's how it all began. Props is a revenue generating model. Project Return adheres to an 80-20 revenue split in which we aim to generate 80% of the cost of running the business through earned income and then fundraise for the other 20%. What you can't see in these numbers, but what we know about our employment creating social enterprise is that there are 3 absolutely essential elements. One is the wealth of service and support that is infused throughout our enterprise model for the people we serve. The second is the social good that comes when you do business with our business. And the third is really the excellence that has to be there. It just has to be our hallmark. These essential elements mean that it is more expensive to run our enterprise than comparable businesses. It's important that we scale Props so that we can get to that level of 80-20 revenue generation for our model. So we have several goals within Props. We want to create jobs for our people, of course, and we want to keep that recidivism rate low. We want to build their soft skills, their job readiness, and build hard skills for people. And we want to generate the revenue that fuels the programming and is the magic really behind social enterprise. In terms of social enterprise growth in the coming year, we really just want to build the book of business for Props, and that enables us to have more full-time crews and just drives the whole growth. We want to build up our equipment commensurate with business growth, and we want to make sure that we've established that reputation for excellence and reliability that has to be our hallmark. Last but not least, our newest service in Props is Props Disinfecting, and we're eager to build that out. We have a well-rounded team of extreme talent. Larry directs all program services with enthusiasm, as was mentioned. Chiquita and Kelsey, I'm trying to think of this in my mind with it behind me. Chiquita and Kelsey are the managers of transitional employment. Daryl directs all business development, and Mark and Aaron are the salespeople for us, going out and building clientele for our enterprises. Greg and Chris are the crew leaders for props. So each of them leads a small crew of dedicated transitional employees. And Kaylin and Hannah are the coaches for transitional employment, really devoting all of their time to helping each individual be the best person they can be. Of course, we face challenges and opportunities. Our biggest challenge is the continuing corporate restriction on people who have conviction histories. That's the edge that we work. And our most exciting opportunity really is just the expansiveness of this model, the opportunity to really move into different realms of property work. It's exciting. We're also excited about just the way that our clientele is choosing to come to us. They are voting with their feet. We're seeing the volume increase year after year, and we're breathless to keep up with it, frankly. We have the workforce. We love our workforce, and the workforce is what makes the enterprise work. These are some of our accolades, and Jim mentioned, and I have to repeat, our first two social enterprises each won a Next Award for Successful Startup, in which we're extremely proud of that. Thank you so much for having me here this evening, and thank you for considering Props, a social enterprise powered by Project Return. And now we can watch the film, which will really say all of this a lot better.
Somebody told me that it was possible for me to achieve what I've achieved within the past couple of years, in the past 2 years since I've been home from prison. I would have said, yeah, I guess it's possible, but stuff like that don't happen to me.
I think one of the things that's very important even about the work that's being done, right now in terms of Project Return is the way in which you can get people to the point where they can see that there is a point for you to have a new beginning. There's a place, there's an avenue, there's a way in which you can move beyond who you were and where you've been to fulfill some of the dreams and aspirations in terms of where you can go, what you can do. I think that a job is just fundamental to the ways in which self-esteem, self-worth is cultivated. The idea of being able to carry your own weight and to be able to support that which represents the basic needs and the basic interests of your life end up being very important.
Key transition period, I feel like for somebody in that position is getting a job, because that's sort of the fundamental piece. Gives you money in your pocket, clothes on your back, place to live, and that can help transition somebody from a difficult situation to something that starts to compound in a positive direction.
Project Return's vision is a full and free life for individuals after incarceration. We understand at Project Return that employment is the #1 determinant as to whether individuals will remain free or be reincarcerated. With Props, we're able to provide employment opportunities as well as serve our community simultaneously.
Been with Props now for about 1.5 years. We now have a COVID-19 disinfecting crew. I supervise that. Project Return is out there doing the work that we said we're going to do, helping people, helping the community.
Getting a job is very important, especially if you intend to have a life out here. And it has not been easy. I've been homeless. During that time that I was homeless in the snow, I was working full-time, and I was a full-time student
after I was on my job for a while, and I had finished my halfway house program, I still had trouble finding housing because of my felonies. And Project Return at that time had just recently started to buy their own properties. And I was one of the first people that was eligible for an apartment. And it was a godsend for me and my kids.
The immediate thing that came to our mind once the tornado hit the city, we took a look at the spread of devastation. We just had our props crew to load up the trailer and all of our equipment that was conducive to supporting that community around their cleanup efforts. And we just deployed the entire props crew over a week period to have them just to go into that community and assist that community in any way that was possible.
Three reasons. The first is I believe in the mission of the organization. As a society, if we're not willing to reach out and lend a helping hand to people who are trying to correct, put themselves on a path, from things that they might have done in the past, and we're not willing to reach out to help them out, then the problem lies just as much with us as it does with them. Secondly, commit an act and you have a felony on your record, you have just started yourself on what is a very difficult and vicious cycle. It's incredibly hard to break out of that cycle. And then third, the opportunity to meet all these different people through the mock interview process, it's really just enjoyable. It's really just, I walk out of there every time feeling really good about what y'all are doing. And that's just mission critical for me as a volunteer.
Being able to have a sense of self-worth and value that allows you to be able to, look people in the eye, hold your hand up straight, and be able to say, with your very presence, I know that I am somebody, when indeed who they are is not defined by past circumstance, but rather ends up being defined by the infinite possibilities of the future.
Betty, thank you. Let's take some questions from our audience, and then we'll look and see what our Zoom attendees have to ask.
Betty, on your budget for 2021, how many people are you thinking you'll run through props?
We hope to have a total of 60 people over the course of that 12-month period, which would be an increase from this year. Yeah. And I think one of the hidden numbers in there also is increasing the actual work hours. So that's part of building the business so that there is a full-time work week for everyone who's on the crew. And that's just part of how we want to build that up. So even though we'll increase from 40 people to 60 people, we'll double the number of work hours. So that's our ambition.
Betty, share with me how many people come to Nashville every year who are in this situation of need, who've been released from prison and don't have a place to go?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It kind of makes our numbers pale a little bit because we can estimate that about 13 to 15,000 people will be released from a Tennessee penitentiary this year. And it's not knowable where they go, really. We've tried to get that number, but so if you think about the 3 grand divisions, we can estimate that maybe maybe 4,000 will come to the Middle Tennessee area, and most come to urban areas, and that's Nashville. So we're talking about, a few thousand people coming to Nashville. We have confronted in the past the question of, should we sort of create more of a pipeline for ourselves to be there for everybody? Everyone just kind of shoots through to us, and we've intentionally over the years held this line of saying, let people choose, let people know about us and choose to come to us, and then we'll take it from there. But so we expect to have between 600 and 700 new people start with us this year.
Betty, I have a question about your transitional employees. When they come to work with you at Project Return, do they typically stay a certain amount of time and then move on to different kinds of jobs?
That's a great question. So the idea behind Pro-E is a little bit more formulaic than props. With Pro-E, we pretty much expect that they will work with us for the first 3 months after they come to Project Return. And so they will be our transitional employee. And the whole idea during that 3-month period is a job readiness arc that is really building people and helping people become more and more job ready, so that at the end of that period, the real success of Pro-E is at the end of it, when they go on to regular employment with a regular external employer. With props, we have run that so far as a transitional employment program also. It's much smaller, but we still have that same mindset of about 90 days and then helping them move on to an external employer. But beyond that, like what we would really like to do with props is have it be substantial enough that we could have some folks who just stay on that becomes their job. And so there are folks who love landscaping, folks who love light construction and property make ready. And so if we can imagine those crews that might have 4 or 5 people on a crew, and 2 of them would be, sort of your established, experienced folks, and the other 2 would be more transitional, coming on board, trying it out, getting their job skills, getting their legs under them. Like that would be a really ideal small mix. But for now, it's a transitional period. Overall at Project Return, people are in our services for up to 15 months. So it extends well beyond the transitional employment period.
A couple questions there.
Hi. I don't know if being in the disinfecting business was originally part of your plan, but obviously COVID has probably created a pretty good opportunity for you. So are you doing work like with commercial buildings, offices, that sort of thing? Because it seems like everybody needs that right now. So I'm just curious how you've been able to plug into that.
Yeah, thank you for that question. We're really excited about it, and really it came about because of COVID. We, in the middle of March, were in shock like everyone, and actually had a couple of scares at our place. And so we immediately shut things down and called a disinfecting company and brought them in. And we very quickly turned that entrepreneur into our mentor. We said, hey, we want to start disinfecting. And so he became our mentor rather immediately. And so, yes, we're targeting, I tend to think that law firms would really find this attractive. They're so risk averse. They want to, get everything, okay. But we've actually encountered some difficulties with going to some of these businesses, because it turns out there in these high rises that the property is managed by someone else. And more often than you would think, we get the answer that, I'm sure that's being taken care of. So we've done better with smaller companies that are more one-off and more independent in their operation. It's been a challenge and a journey. Everyone loves the idea. And so, but not that many people are out there doing it. So we can't even really discern the market. We're just kind of like going after it. But we also got subsidized by United Way. They were really concerned about nonprofits that couldn't afford it. So we've got a lot of disinfecting business going by getting support from United Way to then subsidize us going to do it for the nonprofit who needed it and needed to be in business for the work, but couldn't pay for the disinfecting. So that was a really great business builder. Call me. We have those services.
I applaud that recidivism rate that you showed is just remarkable. And I'm guessing that is within the time frame is that 15-month period. I'm just wondering what information might you have about recidivism, after people leave the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you want to start an argument, you can say the word recidivism, and there's as many definitions of it as there are jurisdictions. or maybe people in jurisdictions. But the way we measure it, it's a great question, and we cannot not measure recidivism. So we measure it at 1 year, and we don't go beyond that, although we've dabbled in measuring it 3 years for our people and have found it to be wildly successful. So we're very excited about that, but we really stick to the 1 year recidivism measure for now. Yeah, and so I think that's it's a very complicated, we do a pretty thorough job of checking it when we do, so it's a very complicated process, and we feel really, really good about that. Of course, we would love it to just be 0. So we're, ever working toward a lower number. I will say, though, to recidivism, what we do find is when we break down our numbers and parse them a little bit more carefully, and we don't make this argument to the people we serve, but like, if they were to ask me, I would tell them you're statistically more likely to not recidivate if you take your first job with us in our transitional employment program. It's statistically true based on our numbers, so that's very encouraging as well.
We're really at time, but I want to honor the Zoom attendee who's asked us. Can you tell us briefly what the funding would be used for Project Return if you receive the award?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I should have said. So we are trying to grow this business. So we have Chiquita and Kelsey as transitional employment managers, but they are not specializing in props. And so we really want to hire an additional transitional employment manager that is just focused on props. That's a job. And then we also need another crew leader for a growing crew of transitional employees. So really just covering, it's all for operations and growing, doing what we know, just doing it with more great people. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Calvin, can I give our viewers an instruction before you close this? Just stay right there. So Zoom viewers and audience, we have a survey that we'd like to share with you so you can give us some feedback on what you've heard tonight. I'm going to drop a link in the chat for those of you on Zoom. And for those of you here, we can get the WUFU Zoom form or survey form to you. The SGEM committee will be meeting in the next few days to talk about what we've heard tonight and come to some decisions, but we would value having your input on what you heard tonight, how you would like to involve yourself with these organizations, and just getting some feedback from our audience. So invite you to share on that form and submit that in the next couple days. Calvin, back to you.
Thank you, Amy. And Betty, thank you. And Larry, thank you for coming and joining us tonight. You all provide such a lifeline to these folks that really need that and may not have any other options. And you're benefiting them in such a way because you're helping them to go back on a straight path, but also you're benefiting the community because we need to keep those folks in the mainstream of our community and make them good, productive, long-term members. So we thank you for that. I'm always in awe when I hear these stories from these great social enterprises where these leaders are really sacrificing a lot because they have a passion and a belief that they can help our community and help others. So I really want to give a round of applause to all of you. So thank you so much for coming. And as Amy mentioned, we'll be meeting in the coming days to determine who might be our winner. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining us online. Good night.